Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Barber again. Nice to see you. Wish I could see your smiles. Well, I hope you're doing well and enjoying this gorgeous sunshiny weather. I love it when it's like this. My favorite time of year. I wanted to talk today to you about something you're going to probably do this summer. I know they open one of the beaches, so maybe you're even going to do it before that. Anyway, it's about the beach. There's a little poem that goes, little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. We're going to talk today about how the ocean meets the land and things you like to do there. So, I want to show you a few pictures. This book I love, it's called Our Day at the Seashore. That's another name for going to the ocean, oceans, seas. And it's a family that goes and does some of the fun things I'm sure you like to do. I'm not going to read it to you. They have a boat and they're getting ready for their fun time. And as a family, they're going to meet another family. They're riding in a boat. Maybe you've done that before. I bet you have, right? If not, I hope you get to sometime. It's a lot of fun. And they're exploring and they're finding some crabs like we talked about last week. And they're watching the birds that you sometimes see at the water. Cool, huh? I love to watch the birds. My littlest grandson calls them tweet tweets. And the birds are getting fish to eat. And the kids are watching. And notice the kids have their life vests on. Anytime you're in a boat, everyone in the boat should be wearing a life vest. And they found, oh, look at this. They found a crab. And they're looking underneath at him. He's a horseshoe crab. I don't know how he got his name. And they found some shells like we've talked about. And I love the pictures because they're having so much fun. And then it says right here, please do not disturb sea turtle nest. We talked about those. So sometimes you get to see those at the beach. Not as much near us, usually a little further south. And then they're going around and collecting shells and playing and going in the water with their parents or another adult, seeing what they found together. I love real pictures. And then they went on another exploration. I want to find the page where, oh yes, this is really cool. This is called a worm shell, and I meant to bring mine and I left it at home. But isn't that cool? It does kind of look like a worm, doesn't it? One of my favorite things to do at the beach is to eat my lunch. And they're eating their lunch. And then they're playing in the sand and making something, I bet you all love to make, a sandcastle. Well, they have a really fun day playing with their friends at the beach. And then it's time to pack up and go home. They're collecting some of their shells in their buckets. I'm sure you bring a bucket to the beach with you too. Well, speaking of the beach, I bet you like to go to the beach. I do. Got to be careful in the sun though. Make sure you put the sunscreen on. Well, what do you like to do at the beach? Do you like to swim? Do you like to read? Some people like to read at the beach. Do you like to make a sandcastle? It's one of my favorite things to do. I bet you do. So, we're going to talk a little bit about sandcastles today, and I'm going to read you a book in a minute. But I had this picture that I thought was really cool about the seashore. I'm not sure if you can see it. I hope you can. And on the other side, some of the things that you might find on the seashore. So, sand. Before I read to you about sandcastles, I bet that you like to play in the sand. I have just a little container of it here. And one thing I like to do when I have it in school is look at it through the magnifying glass, and you can see sparkles, and you can see what looks like little pebbles, and you can see pieces of shells. So what is sand made from? Well, that's a really good question. Shells that get crushed. That's why sometimes when you walk in the sand, it hurts your feet. And soft rocks that get crushed. And then it makes this beautiful sand that we like to play with. Now, I can't make a sandcastle out of this, can I? Mrs. Johnson talked last week about making a water table and putting sand in it. It's like being at the beach. That sand, when it gets wet, you can make a sand castle out of. So if you want to try and make some sand sometime, maybe mom or dad will let you take a shell and a soft rock. Maybe you can put it in a little plastic baggie and use mom's rolling pin and roll it and try and crush it. It won't quite feel like the beach. It'll be a fun little thing to do. So today, the book I love to read is by Robert Munsch, and it's called The Sandcastle Contest. Do we have enough time for that, Mrs. Johnson? Someone else is going to the beach. Matthew's father stood in the driveway and said, I think we're all ready to go. Let's make sure everything is here. Do we have the bicycles? Check. Do we have the food? Yes. Do we have the boat? Yes. Do we have everything? No, yelled Matthew. Looks like they have everything they need. They're going on a vacation. No, said his dad. No, said Matthew. We don't have a dog. Dog, said his dad. We don't even own a dog. I know, said Matthew. Now would be a good time to get a dog. No, dog, said his dad. Do we have everything? No, yelled Matthew. We don't have my sandbox. We can't take your sandbox with you. Matthew, said his mom, we can't bring the sandbox. But the first place we camp will have a nice beach, and you will have lots of sand to play with. Well, said Matthew, okay. So they drove and drove and drove and drove. Boy, it was a long ride, you know those, until they came to a place to camp. Matthew jumped out of the van and ran to the beach. He came to a girl making a small sandcastle and a big sand dog. She said, hi, my name is Kalita, and I'm going to win the sandcastle contest. Wow, said Matthew. I am going to build a sandcastle too. What can I win? Oh, you can win a bathtub full of ice cream, said the girl. Doesn't that sound great? All right, said Matthew. So Matthew made a house with doors and windows and a roof. He dug out the inside of the house so it had rooms. Boy, that's quite a sandbox, right? Just like a real house. He made a sand tables and chairs and beds and a TV that had a sand show on it. That's pretty cool, isn't it? When Matthew was done, Kalita came over to look at his house. She had her sand dog on a leash. Got to use your imagination for this one. Nice house, said Kalita. Really, really nice sand dog, said Matthew. A judge came by and said, get this house out of here. Who put this house on the beach? Well, this is my sand house, said Matthew. I made it for the contest. Ha, said the judge. I know a real house when I see one. And there are no real houses allowed on the beach. Poor Matthew. Then he went inside and sat in a sand chair and watched a sand show on the sand TV. Another judge came by and said, get this house out of here. Who put this house on the beach? This is my sand house, said Matthew. I made it for the sand contest. Ha, said the judge. Adults have no imagination. I know a real house when I see one, and there are no real houses allowed on the beach. She went into the bedroom and looked at the sand bed. She went into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. She looked at the sand apples and the sand celery and the sand cartons of milk and said, little boy, you've got to get this house off the beach. This is my sand house, said Matthew, and I'm going to prove it. Ha, said the judges. What do you think he's going to do to prove it? Matthew went outside, kicked the sand house right beside the door, and it all turned back into an enormous pile of sand. And it fell on the judges. Help, yelled the judges, and everyone came running and dug them out. When the judges were finally out from under the sand, they yelled, Matthew wins. His sand house was so good that we thought it was a real house. Matthew wins, everyone yelled, and they gave him a bathtub full of ice cream. Matthew started eating the ice cream, and he said to Kalita, want to help me eat this? Friends share, after all. Yes, Kalita said. While they were eating the ice cream, Matthew said, how come you didn't tell everybody that your dog is sand? I bet you would have won with a sand dog. Well, said Kalita, this is Sandy, my sand dog, and I'm going to take him home and feed him ice cream every day. And he's going to be my pet, and I'm never going to turn him back into sand. Wow, said Matthew, I wish I'd thought of that. Can you make me a sand dog? No problem, said Kalita. And Matthew's mom and dad were so happy with Matthew's amazing sand dog that, what do you think they did? They decided to take it camping. There you go. Now, do you really think you could make a dog out of sand? I don't know, but I challenge you to make the best sandcastle you ever could make. Maybe you can send us a picture. If you have a sandbox in the backyard, you could do that. Then we're also going to send you a paper that looks like this and some things to add. You notice there's water and there's beach. It says the beach. This is the sky. Get creative with it. Color in your people and your boats. Do the boats go on the sand? Nah, I didn't think so. And let us know how you do with that, making your own beach. And then there's one more paper. Nope, I put it in the other pile. Never mind. Silly Mrs. Barber. You know how I am. Have a great day, boys and girls. Enjoy the sun. Take care.